Success is not something that simply happens overnight. It begins with a seed planted in the mind. The foundation of any achievement, whether in business, personal growth, relationships, or financial independence, is rooted in mindset. When people talk about success, they often focus on strategies, skills, and opportunities. While these are important, none of them matter if your mindset is not aligned with the reality you want to create. What separates those who succeed from those who struggle endlessly is not just hard work or intelligence. It is the way they think, the way they see themselves, and the way they approach challenges. Your thoughts become your reality, and every great achievement starts with the decision to believe it is possible. If you look at successful individuals across the globe, regardless of their background or starting point, you will notice a common pattern. They saw possibilities where others saw limitations. They imagined their life being different, even when their circumstances suggested otherwise. That shift in thinking is the first step toward success. It is not about ignoring difficulties, but about choosing to focus on opportunities rather than problems. When you reframe challenges as stepping stones, you empower yourself to grow stronger instead of shrinking in fear. This is why success always begins in your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your beliefs influence your actions, and your actions determine your results. Consider the impact of negative self-talk. When you constantly tell yourself, "I can't do this," "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," you are programming your mind to accept failure as a permanent state. The brain responds to repeated thoughts like instructions, and if those instructions are full of doubt, your actions will naturally align with that belief. On the other hand, when you start telling yourself, "I am capable," "I deserve success," and "I will find a way," you ignite a different energy within you. That mental energy is what drives persistence, determination, and creativity, the very ingredients required for success. Changing your mindset does not happen in a day. It requires constant effort, awareness, and discipline. Most people live on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts day after day without questioning whether those thoughts are serving them. To shift your mindset, you must first become aware of your internal dialogue. Pay attention to the moments when fear, doubt, or negativity try to take control. Instead of letting those thoughts dominate, consciously replace them with empowering ones. For example, instead of saying, "I've never done this before, I might fail," reframe it as, "This is a chance to learn something new, and I am growing with every step." That simple switch in perspective can be the difference between giving up early and pushing forward until you succeed. Visualization is another powerful tool that successful people use to shape their mindset. When you visualize your goals with clarity, your brain begins to create pathways that help you recognize opportunities aligned with your vision. Think of athletes who see themselves winning before they even step onto the field. Their mental rehearsal prepares their body and mind for victory. The same principle applies in business, studies, or personal ambitions. If you consistently picture yourself achieving your goals, you program your subconscious mind to work toward making that vision a reality. This is not magic. It is the power of focus and intentional thinking. Another crucial part of shifting your mindset is surrounding yourself with the right influences. The people you interact with daily have a significant impact on the way you think. If you spend time with those who constantly complain, doubt, or settle for mediocrity, their energy will seep into your mindset, making it harder for you to stay positive and ambitious. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with dreamers, doers, and visionaries, their mindset will inspire you to aim higher and believe in greater possibilities. Success is contagious when you place yourself in an environment where growth is the norm. Your mindset also determines how you respond to setbacks. Life will always bring challenges, failures, and disappointments. The difference between those who give up and those who succeed is not the absence of problems, but the way they interpret them. A fixed mindset sees failure as proof of inadequacy, while a growth mindset sees failure as feedback. Every time you fail, you are one step closer to finding what works. Adopting this growth-oriented way of thinking transforms obstacles into opportunities for learning, which keeps you moving forward even when the path is difficult. Gratitude plays a powerful role in shaping a success-driven mindset. When you practice gratitude, you train your mind to focus on what you already have instead of obsessing over what you lack. This shift not only increases positivity, but also creates space for more opportunities. A grateful heart attracts more reasons to be grateful. When you combine gratitude with ambition, you create a balanced mindset that appreciates the present while striving for the future. Self-belief is the cornerstone of mindset transformation. If you do not believe in yourself, no one else will. Success begins the moment you decide to bet on yourself despite uncertainty. Self-belief does not mean arrogance. It means trusting that you are capable of learning, adapting, and persisting until you succeed. Many people miss opportunities simply because they underestimate their abilities. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect skills, or the perfect conditions, which never arrive. Those who succeed are not the ones who had everything figured out from the start. They are the ones who had the courage to begin, trusting that they would grow along the way. It is also important to align your mindset with purpose. When your thoughts are connected to a deeper why, your motivation becomes unshakable. Success is not just about wealth or recognition. It is about fulfilling your potential and making a difference. When you remind yourself daily of your purpose, whether it is to create a better life for your family, to inspire others, or to reach your personal dreams, you strengthen your mindset to endure challenges without losing direction. Ultimately, success begins in your thoughts because thoughts become actions, actions become habits, and habits create destiny. If you want to change your life, start by changing the way you think. Feed your mind with positivity. Surround yourself with empowering influences. Visualize your goals and believe in your capacity to grow. The journey to success is not about waiting for circumstances to align. It is about aligning your mindset with the life you want and taking consistent steps toward it. The moment you shift your thinking from limitations to possibilities, you unlock the power within you to create the future you desire. Excuses are one of the biggest barriers standing between people and the success they desire. Every time you justify why you cannot achieve something, you hand over your power to circumstances rather than taking responsibility for your life. Excuses feel comforting in the moment because they allow you to avoid discomfort, risk, or accountability. But in the long run, they keep you stuck exactly where you are. Success requires honesty with yourself, and that means facing the reality that your life will only change when you decide to take ownership of your actions, choices, and outcomes. When people say things like, "I don't have enough time," "I don't have enough money," or "I wasn't born with the right opportunities," they are essentially placing the control of their life in the hands of outside forces. While it is true that we all face limitations, challenges, and setbacks, the difference between those who succeed and those who remain stagnant is the ability to take responsibility and find solutions instead of blaming circumstances. History is full of examples of individuals who came from poverty, faced rejection, or endured extreme hardship yet rose to greatness because they refused to let excuses define them. Taking full responsibility does not mean ignoring the struggles you face. It means choosing to respond to them in a way that empowers you instead of weakens you. For example, if you lack a certain skill, you can either say, "I can't do this because I don't know how," or you can say, "I don't know how yet, but I'm willing to learn." That small shift changes everything because it places the power back in your hands. It is not about perfection, but about persistence and the willingness to take action despite obstacles. Excuses also rob you of growth. Every time you say, "I can't," you stop yourself from trying, and without trying, you never learn. Success is built on the lessons gained from action, mistakes, and persistence. By eliminating excuses, you open the door to possibilities you never thought existed. For instance, someone who dreams of starting a business but says, "I don't have the money," will remain stuck. But the person who says, "I'll start small, I'll learn, and I'll build," creates opportunities for success even with limited resources. Responsibility creates momentum, and momentum creates results. Owning your life also means accepting both successes and failures as your own. It is easy to celebrate when things go right, but true growth comes when you admit your role in setbacks. When you stop blaming others or circumstances, you give yourself the chance to adjust, improve, and come back stronger. This level of accountability may feel uncomfortable, but it is a mark of maturity and leadership. People who achieve greatness are those who say, "No matter what happens, I will find a way." The truth is, excuses will always be available, but so will opportunities. Which one you choose determines your future. By breaking free from excuses and taking full responsibility, you put yourself in the driver's seat of your own destiny. You stop waiting for the perfect time or the perfect chance and start creating your own path forward. Success belongs to those who are willing to say, "It's on me. I will make it happen." Discipline and consistency are two of the most essential qualities required for lasting success. Yet they are often the most difficult to develop and maintain. Talent, intelligence, and even passion can give you a head start. But without the discipline to stay focused and the consistency to keep showing up, even the brightest potential can fade away. Success is not about doing something extraordinary once. It is about doing the right things day after day until results become inevitable. Many people have dreams, but only those who discipline themselves and remain consistent transform those dreams into reality. Discipline is the ability to control your impulses, delay gratification, and stay committed to your long-term vision, even when the immediate reward is not visible. It is waking up early when you would rather sleep, studying or practicing when you would rather relax, and saying no to distractions that pull you away from your goals. Without discipline, it is easy to fall into the trap of procrastination, inconsistency, and wasted potential. Discipline creates order in your life, giving structure to your time, energy, and habits. It allows you to prioritize what truly matters instead of being swayed by temporary emotions or external influences. Consistency is the partner of discipline. It is not enough to work hard once in a while or push yourself only when you feel motivated. True progress comes from repeated action over time, even when it feels boring or difficult. Just as a drop of water can carve through stone with persistence, consistent effort builds momentum and creates breakthroughs that may seem impossible at first. Too often, people give up because they do not see immediate results. They try for a week, a month, or a few attempts, and when nothing dramatic happens, they lose hope. But success rarely comes overnight. It is the accumulation of small, consistent actions that compound into significant outcomes. Think of health and fitness as an example. If you go to the gym once and work out intensely, you will not see much change. But if you go consistently, even with moderate effort, over weeks and months, your body transforms. The same applies to learning a skill, building a business, or achieving any long-term goal. Discipline ensures that you commit to the process, and consistency ensures that you stay on the path long enough to see results. Together, they form the backbone of success. Many people rely too heavily on motivation to carry them forward. The problem with motivation is that it comes and goes depending on mood, circumstances, or inspiration. Some days you feel unstoppable, and other days you feel like quitting. If you only act when motivated, your progress will always be unstable. Discipline and consistency, however, allow you to move forward even when motivation is absent. They create habits that sustain you when willpower feels weak. By building routines and sticking to them, you make success less about emotion and more about commitment. Another key aspect of discipline and consistency is learning to master the small daily action. Success is not just about the big decisions. It is about the little choices made repeatedly. Choosing to read instead of scrolling aimlessly on social media, choosing to save instead of spending impulsively, choosing to practice your craft instead of procrastinating. These small decisions accumulate over time. They may seem insignificant in the moment, but they create habits, and habits shape your destiny. A person who disciplines themselves to focus on these small daily actions will eventually achieve more than someone who waits for occasional bursts of inspiration. It is also important to recognize that discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. Many people avoid discipline because they think it restricts their freedom, but in reality, discipline gives you control over your life. When you discipline yourself financially, you gain freedom from debt and worry. When you discipline yourself physically, you gain freedom from illness and weakness. When you discipline yourself mentally, you gain freedom from fear and doubt. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and consistency is the vehicle that takes you across that bridge. Developing discipline and consistency requires both clarity and commitment. You must first be clear about what you want and why you want it. Without clarity, it is easy to lose direction, and without commitment, it is easy to give up. Once your vision is clear, you can break it down into daily or weekly habits that move you closer to your goal. For instance, if your dream is to write a book, your discipline might involve setting aside 1 hour every day to write, and your consistency is following through with that commitment even when you don't feel like it. Accountability can also help strengthen discipline and consistency. Sharing your goals with someone you trust, joining a group of like-minded individuals, or tracking your progress can keep you committed. Humans are naturally more likely to stay disciplined when they feel responsible to others. At the same time, self-accountability is equally important. Holding yourself to the standards you set and refusing to accept excuses as an option. There will always be setbacks along the way. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will test your discipline and consistency. The key is not to aim for perfection, but persistence. Missing one day, one task, or one opportunity does not mean failure. What matters is how quickly you return to your routine and continue the journey. Success is not destroyed by occasional setbacks, but by the decision to give up. Consistency is about getting back on track again and again, no matter how many times you stumble. In the end, discipline and consistency are not glamorous, but they are powerful. They do not make headlines, but they create legacies. They may not bring instant gratification, but they guarantee long, term fulfillment. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who disciplined themselves to do what others would not, and remained consistent until the results became undeniable. If you want to transform your life, stop waiting for perfect conditions or bursts of motivation. Start building discipline, commit to consistency, and trust the process. Over time, the results will speak for themselves, and success will no longer be a distant dream, but a reality shaped by your daily habits. The people you surround yourself with have a direct impact on the trajectory of your life. Human beings are influenced creatures. We absorb the energy, thoughts, and behaviors of those closest to us, often without even realizing it. If you spend most of your time around people who complain, doubt, criticize, or settle for less, that negativity slowly seeps into your own mindset and actions. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with winners, people who are ambitious, optimistic, hardworking, and focused on growth, you begin to adopt their mindset, habits, and energy. Success is not just an individual pursuit. It is also deeply connected to the company you keep. Choosing the right environment and the right people is one of the most important decisions you will ever make on your journey to success. Greatness is contagious. When you are around individuals who are striving to be better, you cannot help but raise your own standards. Their discipline challenges your laziness, their positivity drowns out your doubts, and their success inspires you to dream bigger. The truth is, no one succeeds in isolation. Every great achiever has had mentors, role models, or supportive communities that pushed them forward. Even the strongest person needs encouragement and accountability. When your circle is made up of people who are aligned with your vision, you will naturally feel more driven, more confident, and more prepared to take on challenges. Surrounding yourself with greatness does not mean you must abandon everyone in your life who is not ambitious. It means being intentional about who influences you the most. There is a difference between loving people and allowing them to shape your mindset. If someone is constantly negative or pulling you down, you must limit the time and energy you invest in them. You can still care for them, but you cannot afford to let their doubts sabotage your growth. Instead, actively seek out individuals who inspire you through books, podcasts, seminars, or direct relationships. In today's world, you have access to countless great minds through technology. Even if you cannot be physically surrounded by successful people, you can immerse yourself in their knowledge and energy. It is often said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This statement is not just motivational fluff. It is a reflection of how human psychology works. We naturally mirror the behaviors, language, and thought patterns of those around us. If your circle is full of people who constantly push boundaries, think big, and refuse to quit, you will start to do the same. If your circle is made up of people who gossip, complain, or make excuses, you will eventually adopt those habits as well. The company you keep acts as either a ladder pulling you up or an anchor holding you down. The choice is yours. Another critical part of surrounding yourself with greatness is accountability. When you have people around you who are also pursuing success, they will not allow you to settle for mediocrity. They will challenge you when you start slipping, encourage you when you doubt yourself, and celebrate with you when you succeed. Accountability is one of the most powerful motivators because it prevents you from giving up when things get tough. Knowing that others believe in you and expect you to follow through strengthens your own commitment to your goals. Surrounding yourself with the right people also broadens your perspective. You cannot see your blind spots on your own. By being around those who are more experienced, more knowledgeable, or more skilled, you learn lessons that you would never discover alone. Mentors and peers can save you years of mistakes by sharing their wisdom. They can also connect you to opportunities you would not have found otherwise. Many doors in life are opened not just by what you know, but by who you know. A network of ambitious, supportive individuals is one of the greatest assets you can have. At the same time, surrounding yourself with greatness requires humility. You cannot grow if you are unwilling to listen, learn, and be corrected. Too often, people avoid environments where others are more advanced because it makes them feel uncomfortable or inferior. But discomfort is a sign of growth. If you are always the smartest or most successful person in your circle, it means you are in the wrong circle. You should seek rooms where you feel challenged, where you are inspired to reach higher, and where your current level is not enough. That discomfort pushes you to grow beyond your limits. It is also important to recognize that surrounding yourself with greatness is not only about taking, it is also about giving. Relationships thrive when there is mutual value. If you want to be surrounded by winners, you must also bring value to the table. That means offering support, encouragement, and effort toward others' success as well. True greatness is about lifting each other up, not just benefiting from others' success. By contributing to the growth of those around you, you create stronger bonds and a more powerful community. One of the challenges you may face when changing your circle is resistance from those who are used to the old version of you. When you start prioritizing growth and surrounding yourself with winners, some people may accuse you of being arrogant or leaving them behind. This is a natural part of transformation. Growth often exposes the insecurities of others who are unwilling to change. You must remember that your future is more important than their approval. If they truly care about you, they will support your journey. If they do not, then losing their influence is actually a blessing. Ultimately, success is a team effort. While the vision must start within you, the energy and inspiration you need to keep going often come from your environment. Greatness cannot thrive in toxic soil. If you plant your dreams in an environment of negativity, excuses, and mediocrity, they will wither. But if you plant them in an environment of positivity, accountability, and ambition, they will flourish. Your environment is either feeding your future or starving it. If you truly want to achieve greatness, you must take inventory of the people and influences in your life. Ask yourself, do they push me forward or hold me back? Do they inspire me to grow or keep me comfortable in mediocrity? Do they celebrate my wins or secretly resent them? Once you are honest about the answers, you can begin building a circle that aligns with your vision. Seek out mentors, join communities, consume empowering content, and spend time with people who live at the level you aspire to reach. When you surround yourself with greatness, you begin to think greater, act greater, and achieve greater. The influence of your environment becomes fuel for your journey, lifting you higher than you could climb alone. Success becomes more than just a dream. It becomes a lifestyle shaped by the energy and people you choose to keep around you. Failure is one of the most misunderstood parts of the journey to success. Many people view failure as the end, as proof that they are not good enough or capable enough to achieve their goals. This belief causes them to stop trying after one or two setbacks, convincing themselves that success is meant for others but not for them. The truth, however, is entirely different. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process of success. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of mistakes, rejections, and struggles that were transformed into valuable lessons. Those who achieve greatness are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who refuse to let failure define them. Instead, they see failure as feedback, a teacher that shows them what does not work so they can get closer to what does. When you look at some of the most successful people in history, you will find countless stories of failure before breakthrough. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before finally inventing the light bulb, but he famously said he had not failed. He had simply found thousands of ways that did not work. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity, only to later build one of the most imaginative empires in the world. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television, yet she went on to become one of the most influential media figures in history. These stories remind us that failure is not the end of the road. It is a detour that redirects us toward the right path. One of the biggest mistakes people make is personalizing failure. They tell themselves, "I failed, therefore I am a failure." But failing at something does not mean you are a failure as a person. It simply means you tried a strategy that did not work. By separating your identity from your results, you free yourself from the shame that often comes with failure. Instead of asking, "Why am I not good enough?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" That shift in perspective changes everything. It turns failure from a heavy weight into a stepping stone. Failure also builds resilience. When you experience setbacks, you develop the strength to keep moving forward despite difficulties. Resilience is a trait that can only be built through challenges. A life without failure may seem ideal, but it would leave you unprepared for real success. Without failure, you would never develop persistence, patience, or problem-solving skills. Each time you fail and rise again, you become stronger, more resourceful, and more determined. Success demands resilience, and resilience is born from failure. Another important lesson failure teaches is humility. When things go wrong, you are reminded that you do not have all the answers, and that is okay. Failure keeps you grounded, reminding you that growth is a continuous process. Humility allows you to stay open to feedback, seek advice from others, and continue learning. Many people who experience early success without failure often crumble when they eventually face setbacks because they never develop the humility to adapt and grow. Failure, therefore, protects you by teaching you to respect the process and remain teachable. Failure also has the power to clarify your purpose. When something does not work out, it forces you to question why you are pursuing that goal in the first place. Was it something you truly wanted, or were you chasing it for external validation? Sometimes failure redirects you to a path more aligned with your true passion and values. It sharpens your focus and strengthens your why. If your purpose is weak, failure will make you quit. But if your purpose is strong, failure will make you fight harder. That is why embracing failure is so important. It tests your commitment and reveals what truly matters to you. Turning failure into lessons requires self-reflection. After every setback, ask yourself 3 questions. What went wrong? What can I learn? How can I do better next time? By analyzing failure instead of running from it, you extract wisdom that can guide your future actions. Each mistake becomes a lesson that saves you from repeating it in the future. Over time, these lessons accumulate, equipping you with the knowledge and experience necessary to succeed. Without failure, you would never gain these insights. Another aspect of transforming failure into growth is maintaining perspective. Often, in the heat of disappointment, a failure feels much larger than it actually is. But when you step back, you realize that one setback is only a small piece of your entire journey. Success is not determined by a single event, but by the overall direction of your efforts. Just as a single bad day does not define your whole life, a single failure does not determine your destiny. By zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, you recognize that failure is temporary, but the lessons are permanent. It is also worth noting that failure builds empathy. When you have experienced your own struggles and defeats, you are more likely to understand and support others who are going through the same. This makes you a better leader, mentor, and human being. Great leaders are not those who have never failed, but those who have failed, learned, and used their experiences to uplift others. Your failures, when embraced, become not just your teachers, but also tools to inspire and guide those around you. The greatest danger of failure is not the setback itself, but the fear it creates. Many people stop chasing their dreams altogether because they fear failing again. This fear traps them in mediocrity, preventing them from ever reaching their true potential. The only way to overcome this fear is to change your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, see it as something to embrace. Every failure moves you closer to success as long as you keep moving forward. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act despite fear. Ultimately, success is not about avoiding failure, but about mastering it. The most successful people are those who fail the most because they are also the ones who try the most. Each attempt, each stumble, each setback teaches them something new and sharpens their path. By embracing failure as a natural part of growth, you free yourself to take risks, innovate, and pursue your dreams with boldness. Failure is not the end of your story. It is the chapter that makes your success meaningful. When you look back, you will not regret the times you fell. You will regret the times you let fear of failure stop you from trying. Every failure carries within it the seed of a lesson, and every lesson brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. The key is to keep moving forward, to keep learning, and to keep believing that your failures are not setbacks, but setups for your ultimate breakthrough. Dreaming big, acting boldly, and refusing to settle for less are at the core of living a successful and fulfilling life. Every great accomplishment in history began with someone daring to imagine what others thought was impossible. The dream was the spark, bold action was the fuel, and the refusal to settle was the discipline that carried it through. Too many people limit themselves not because they lack ability, but because they shrink their dreams to fit within the comfort zones of fear, doubt, and social expectation. They convince themselves to aim for what is realistic rather than what is truly possible. Yet success requires the opposite approach. It demands that you stretch your vision, take courageous steps, and refuse to accept mediocrity as your standard. Dreaming big is not about fantasy. It is about giving yourself permission to imagine a future that excites you, challenges you, and pushes you to grow. Small dreams do not stir the soul. They do not ignite passion or inspire the persistence needed to overcome obstacles. A big dream, however, acts as a compass, pulling you forward even when the path is difficult. It creates energy, purpose, and direction. When you dare to dream big, you set yourself apart from the majority of people who settle for good enough. Your dream becomes your vision of what life can be, and that vision fuels every step you take. But dreaming alone is not enough. A dream without action is only a wish. This is where boldness comes in. Acting boldly means taking steps even when you are uncertain, even when you feel fear, and even when you risk failure. It means refusing to wait for perfect conditions because the perfect moment will never come. Bold action is about moving forward with courage, trusting that you will figure things out along the way. History favors the bold, not because they had guarantees, but because they were willing to try when others hesitated. Boldness is the difference between talking about your dreams and actually living them. Taking bold action also requires breaking through the barriers of comfort. Comfort zones are safe, but they are also limiting. They keep you from experiencing growth, challenge, and transformation. Every time you step outside of comfort, you expand your capacity to achieve more. Boldness is not reckless. It is intentional courage. It is saying yes to opportunities that scare you, taking on challenges that stretch you, and pursuing goals that seem bigger than you. When you act boldly, you discover strengths, talents, and possibilities you never knew existed. Refusing to settle for less is the final piece of this equation. Life will constantly test you with opportunities to settle. Settle for a job that pays the bills but kills your passion. Settle for relationships that drain you rather than uplift you. Settle for habits that keep you stuck instead of pushing you forward. Settling happens when you compromise your true potential for the sake of comfort or approval. But the truth is, you were not created to simply exist. You were created to live fully, to reach higher, and to impact the world in your own unique way. Refusing to settle means holding yourself to a higher standard and demanding more from life, even when it would be easier to accept less. Dreaming big, acting boldly, and refusing to settle also require a deep belief in yourself. You cannot aim high if you secretly doubt your worth. Belief is the foundation that makes boldness possible. It is what allows you to silence the voice of fear and move forward with confidence. When you believe in your ability to grow, to learn, and to persevere, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Self-belief does not mean arrogance. It means trusting your potential and being willing to do the work to fulfill it. There will always be critics and doubters who try to discourage you from dreaming big. Some will say your vision is unrealistic. Others will mock your boldness, and many will encourage you to settle because it makes them comfortable with their own choices. But you must remember that their limitations do not have to become your limitations. The greatest innovators, leaders, and visionaries were all told at some point that their dreams were impossible. Yet they refused to listen. They chose to hold on to their vision, to act boldly in pursuit of it, and to refuse to accept a life smaller than what they knew was possible. One of the most powerful benefits of dreaming big and acting boldly is the ripple effect it creates. When you live with courage and refuse to settle, you inspire others to do the same. Your example becomes proof that it is possible. People who once doubted themselves may begin to dream again simply because they saw you chase yours. Boldness is contagious, and your refusal to settle becomes a beacon of hope for those around you. In this way, pursuing your dreams is not just about personal success. It becomes a way of empowering others to rise as well. The journey will not always be easy. Big dreams attract big challenges. Bold action often leads to setbacks. Refusing to settle sometimes means walking away from opportunities that seem good, but are not aligned with your true vision. But every difficulty you face strengthens your resolve. Every challenge you overcome prepares you for greater opportunities. The price of boldness is discomfort, but the reward is freedom. The freedom to live a life that is true to who you are and what you were meant to accomplish. At the end of life, the greatest regret is not the risks people took, but the ones they did not. It is the dreams they buried because they were afraid, the bold actions they postponed until it was too late, and the times they settled for less than they deserved. To avoid that regret, you must choose now to live differently. Dream bigger than your fears, act bolder than your doubts, and demand more from yourself and your life than mediocrity. When you commit to dreaming big, acting boldly, and refusing to settle for less, you unlock the door to limitless possibilities. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Your dreams give you direction, your boldness gives you momentum, and your refusal to settle ensures that you keep pushing until you reach your full potential. That is the essence of success, not merely surviving, but thriving, creating, and living in alignment with your highest vision.